traders, Cousin Vinny coming to you on Sunday the 29th with a look at the week ahead and a watch list from theclosingprint.com. Come check us out. There's plenty of things for new traders to experience. We have tutorials here that will help you a great deal in your trading. And come check out our blog where we post daily updates, trades that we're looking at, and so forth. You can also check out my YouTube channel. You can see the address here, and of course I'm on StockTwits as well. Looking at the S&P 500 going into the week, Monday is Mutual Fund Monday. We have the end of the quarter, and on Tuesday, the beginning of the new quarter, Stock Traders Almanac has those occasions up 19 of the last 24 occasions. We've got our selling out of the way. We're holding the 10-period EMA, and we came down and tested the 20-period. The moving average is all moving higher, and with a half day on Thursday, non-farm payrolls, I believe that has been up, according to Yukarowitz, non-farm payroll day has been up 17 of the last 19, so keep that in mind as well. This is a chart of the comp, and specifically we see a nice cup pattern here. We came down and tested the 200-period EMA back in April, consolidated and moved higher. Now we're above these highs that we saw in March, where we had this sell-off in biotech, and the comp to the S&P 500 continues to move higher, relatively speaking. And the Russell 2000, we can see that the Russell, since the bottom in May, has outperformed the S&P 500, relatively speaking, and we continue to move higher out of this nice consolidation pattern and a move off of the 200-period moving average. We came down, we didn't quite test the 20-period moving average, and we had a nice candle on Friday. So the Russell is looking pretty good going into the end of the quarter. This is a chart of gold, the spot price. Note that we're flagging just above the 200-period moving average and the Kirby level up here. So if we continue to see more unrest in the Middle East, this could continue to move higher, so just keep that in mind. Really hasn't gone anywhere for over a year. Looking at chart of the US dollar, we can see that we're pulling off of these highs that we put in mid-June. Note MACD is traveling south. I could see where we might venture towards lower prices, and with lower prices it takes more dollars to buy the same goods and services, so that translates into higher prices as well for the S&P 500 and gold. Okay, so let's take a look at some setups going into the week. Now that I've blinded you going from black to white, this ratio of the consumer staples to consumer discretionary is very useful in keeping you on the right side of the trade and focusing on the right sectors. With regard to the solid line, this is the ratio between the two, with consumer staples being the secular side and XLY, the consumer discretionary, being the cyclical side of stocks. When the economy is supposedly doing better, you want to see this ratio dropping. And like we said back here, in May, when we were making new highs, you want to see this ratio change direction if you were bullish cyclical stocks. And we can see that we took out these lows here, and we've since been in a downtrend. So that's why we're focusing on cyclical stocks currently, as I pointed out on our blog on Saturday. Okay, so let's take a look at some of those charts. I set up a chart list of cyclical stocks from several articles on some of the best cyclical stocks out there to follow and which ones have been showing the most relative strength. And if we take a look at those, we have Autoliv, obviously in the auto sector, with a nice pattern consolidation. Came down to the 50-period moving average, is trying to break out of this low flag. Stochastics is leading and MACD is turning. American Axle, this was reviewed by Arthur Hill over at Stock Charts. This is a company we trade. We like this. We like to trade this one when it sets up. Currently, we broke out of a multi-month downtrend, came down and tested this trend line breakout twice. Stochastics is now leading MACD. It looks to be turning, and we're starting to see volume pick up. We want to watch RSI going into the week. Cooper Tire obviously works hand in hand with cars. Major car manufacturers like GM, Ford, Toyota, and so forth, Tesla, are doing quite well. We'll get to those in a minute. Cooper Tire looks like it wants to break out here. There is no Kirby to speak of. Moving averages, Keltner channel, and so forth are all moving higher. And we can see Stochastics is moving MACD. Deckers Outdoor breaking above Kirby level here. Keep an eye on this one. Broke out of this trend, these pivots, and is moving higher. Okay, it's a little bit overbought right now, so I might watch for this to recycle and reset before I took a trade on this. Maybe a pullback to the rising 10-period EMA. Dorm, I don't particularly care for descending channels of this length, only because it's bearish pattern. Until this breaks trend and turns in the other direction, I wouldn't trade a descending channel. Ford, you can see that we're continuing to make new highs, as most of the car manufacturers are. Broke trend here and continues to look good. Note the volume, and Stochastics is getting a little bit overbought. Genuine Parts, nice sideways pattern. This is something HCPG trades a lot in terms of the pattern. A base and break pattern. If it breaks to the upside, we go long. If it breaks to the downside, we go short. And we can see the Kirby here. There's no reason to believe this won't go higher. Note Stochastics leading MACD, and we got volume here. RSI is moving higher. So this one looks pretty good going into the week. Gildan Activewear, new highs above the Kirby. Nice ascending triangle pattern breakout here, a flag, and then continues to move higher with Stochastics leading and MACD turning up. Nice volume, pocket pivots. This great looking stock. GM, not as good as some of the others, but you can see that we have a spread inverted head and shoulders here, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and breaking above this neckline now. Kirby is pretty much non-existent up to the $40 per share level, so it looks like we got a few dollars to run on GM. Note MACD and Stochastics could reset better. Goodyear Tire, like Cooper Tire, nice cup pattern here playing out. Could see some consolidation here, perhaps a flag and then a move higher, or a handle on a cup and handle pattern. Note Stochastics is recycling though and turning up, leading MACD, and we have volume here. Several pocket pivots. Helen of Troy, broke trend here, is moving sideways. We're watching for this to move higher. We have a couple of curvy levels here to deal with, but we do have some huge pocket pivots that erase everything that's traded over the last 2 months since March, and Stochastics is leading MACD higher. Note RSI. iRobot, we pointed this one out, showed up on the scan early in the week, broke trend and continues to move higher. We have a Kirby level up here to deal with, but we have this pocket, so this one could run up to 42 fairly easily and maybe push right through there considering RSI. But MACD and Stochastics is overbought, so watch the volume. And note Scooter is moving higher. This is Stock Chart's technical rank, similar to IBD in the way that they rank stocks with relative strength to the market. Kate Spade, we pointed this out 2 weeks ago. It hit this Kirby band, and we're flagging here. I would expect this to move higher this week. Do note this volume bar here, and the price didn't move down that much. It tested the 20, and we moved off of that level. Stochastics recycling, looks like it's going to turn back up. Michael Kors, we got a double bottom here, right near the 200 period moving average. Perhaps this moves higher up to this upper Bollinger Band. We won't know for sure. There's a Kirby bar right here to deal with. However, Stochastics is turning higher. Leg & Platt. We'll watch to see what this does this week. Note the pocket pivot and Stochastics leading MACD here on this chart. Oxford Industries trying to break trend here with Stochastics leading, and MACD could bounce. Note the selling volume, not sure what that is. And we have a Kirby level to deal with here. Ralph Lauren broke trend and now is moving higher. The 200 period right here to deal with, but there's no Kirby level volume to deal with now that we're above this level. Note volume starting to pick up, and Stochastics is leading MACD higher. Let's see, Mikey's talking to me. Rush Enterprises, I like this nice triangle pattern. This one should break to the upside, and we could see higher prices fairly readily. Note the pocket pivot. This does trade thinly, so just keep that in mind. And Stochastics is leading MACD. Skechers, nice consolidation pattern here, should move higher with Stochastics leading MACD. Snap-on, nice ascending pattern. No reason to believe this won't continue to move higher off of this lower trend line. And we have pocket pivots and Stochastics leading MACD, which is moving sideways. RSI bounced. We should see higher prices on Snap-on. Note the Kirby here. We have that as support now. Note all the green volume versus the red volume in this area. That's traded now. Steve Madden, this stock looks pretty decent. We had a downtrend here where prices accelerated lower. We have a trend line here of these two pivots at the 35 level and the 200 period moving average, which is turning over, but we'll watch to see how this trades over the week ahead. Note RSI is moving higher, and we have a nice MACD moving north with Stochastics embedded. Alright, Steve Madden looks pretty good. Black & Decker, nice sideways consolidation at the 20 period. We could break higher. No Kirby level. Pocket pivots, Stochastics leading MACD. Tenko Automotive, nice pattern here. Looks like we're breaking higher. After this consolidation pattern in March, April, and May, we broke higher, hit the upper Bollinger Band, and moved off of that to the 20 period. Note the volume, and Stochastics is leading MACD. Toyota Motor continues to move higher, another manufacturer obviously. Price is just above the 200 period moving average. Tempur-Pedic, nice cup and handle pattern. Note that if prices break above the handle, that would be our entry with a stop on the loss of the Friday lows here. Note Stochastics leading MACD. Tesla, nice trade. Broke trend here in June, came down and tested this trend line, and then it's moving higher. I would expect to see 265 in the near future with prices in an upward facing flag. We have this Kirby pocket, and we don't see any resistance till we get up to this level at 250. Stochastics is turned, leading higher, and MACD should continue. Note the twin pocket pivots here. That look pretty good with RSI continuing to move higher on Tesla. Tata Motors moving sideways at this Kirby band. May see a bounce here this week, so if you're into Indian stocks, keep an eye on this one. MACD and Stochastics are both turning down, however. Under Armour, if you like cup and handles, this is good. In the apparel, nice accumulation here. Note all of the green bars. Note all the buying before we form this handle. We have stochastics leading MACD, and we could see volume peak here in the short term on a break above this handle, which would be our entry. Stop would be below the low of Friday. Also note the Kirby is non-existent up here, so this could go fairly quickly. Visteon continues to grind higher off the 10-period moving average. This is probably going to break higher on Monday. Note the pocket pivot on Friday. Stochastics leading and MACD moving sideways could turn back up fairly easily. Williams and Sonoma continues to grind higher as well. MACDs have expanded, but note that it's starting to turn somewhat, so keep that in mind. If the lower Bollinger Band turns up and the upper continues to move higher, that just means that prices will continue to grind higher rather than explode. When you see Bollinger Bands expand top and bottom, that's when you have a burst in volume or a burst in price action like we saw here. Wolverine Worldwide forming a nice bottoming pattern here. Could move higher if we could get back above this resistance of this Kirby here, which is going to be a little difficult, so that it'll probably pass on this one. Note the REITs here. Mike sent me a snapshot of those stocks that we were looking at over the past 2 weeks with relation to the 10-year yield and the Fed news, with no indication of increasing interest rates anytime soon until 2015. A lot of these names we saw as doing well, so let's take a look at some of those. Ashford Hospitality Trust, this was on the scan last week. We took this trade on a buy stop around 1075, I believe, or actually it might have been 1080. This one took off nicely. There's no Kirby here to deal with, and Bollinger Bands top and bottom are expanding. You see the difference when Bollinger Bands, both top and bottom, expand at the same time. Prices tend to react to that and prices break out. Biomed Realty, nice flag pattern here. Tight Bollinger Bands. I would expect to see this one take off above this Kirby level this week. Note Stochastics is leading MACD, and we have a pocket pivot here. Actually, it's not a pocket pivot. A pocket pivot is when you have a burst in volume that exceeds the previous 10 days trading, which we don't have here. Okay, this is a pocket pivot here. Exceeds previous 10 days and everything going back prior to that level. CBL Associates testing this high here that it's tried at previously. Stochastics leading MACD with a crossover coming and volume. DLR Digital Realty Trust, this has been on the scan over the last couple of weeks because of this tightening bands. When the bands move inside the Keltner channels when they show up on our Bollinger Band scan. Prices look like they could turn higher with this pocket pivot. Stochastics leading, MACD should turn higher this week. O Realty, we pointed this one out a couple of weeks ago when the Bollinger Bands started to contract. We saw this one as a possible move higher. We got a push up against the upper Keltner channel and upper Bollinger Band and moved off of that, held the 20 period. We found buyers and we're at this Kirby level now, so this one should turn up this week. Stochastics has time to recycle and MACD's move sideways, so the momentum to the downside hasn't been great. It's more of a sideways consolidation pattern. Omega Healthcare, nice looking pattern off of the lower Keltner channel and Bollinger Band. Moving higher, I would expect to see 38 fairly readily with prices above the Kirby level. RHP, this one I haven't seen before, looks pretty good. Nice volume, MACD and Stochastics both turning back up. Spirit Realty, this has been on the scan, Bollinger Band scan. RSI's holding, MACD's turning, as well as Stochastic, and prices are above the Kirby. Veritas, breaking a trend here over the last month, 6 weeks. Came down and tested this trend line. Looks like it's going to bounce off of this area with Stochastics recycling and MACD grinding higher. WPC continues to grind higher. Alright, so that's it for the REITs. Okay, let's take a look at some of the things Mike is bringing up. He's doing some IBD scans, Borg Warner, in the manufacturer's engine and drivetrain components. Look at the numbers here. This is what we look at for trades. We like to trade stocks that are more from a swing trade mindset. We don't like to babysit. We want to see stocks that are setting up that could see multi-day, multi-week runs before we see any selling. So that's what we try to focus on. We don't like to scalp. That's not our style. Or day trade. We're more into the swing trading, position trading, momentum trading style. So let's take a look at BWA. Okay, BWA Borg Warner looks pretty good. Mikey's add to the list, so we're going to save this one in the cyclical chart list. Node Stochastics is leading MACD, and the numbers are very nice on BWA. Okay, so this is a strong one in the group. Note the other ones in the group as well. When you're trading, this is what we like to look for. He also gave Smart Select ratings from IBD on Tenneco. We covered that one already, as well as GT. Numbers here look pretty good. Very nice. You can see how we work as a team. We review stocks, then we look at the IBD ratings. Mikey does that research, and then we put everything together for a trading plan going into the week. Decent numbers on GPC. Okay, so that's going to do it for me for the week. This is Cousin Vinny coming to you from theclosingprint.com. Again, for you traders that are new, check out these 3 videos here, and this one right here on how to use MACD and stochastics with Bollinger Bands, as well as the custom scanner, how to use Ichimoku, a trend trading system, as well as the box setup. Okay, take care. I hope this helps, and we'll talk to you on Monday. Remember, it's Mutual Fund Monday and the end of the quarter, so keep that in mind going into the week. This should be a fairly decent one with a shortened week. Typically, the markets will squeeze higher.